Which, the funny thing about life is that it goes on.
Hey, that's the truth, man. The beat will go on. That's amazing.
You
That's
know,
amazing.
I was getting this all set up. Like I said, I was having some issues this morning. So, you know, my forehead is absolutely a lot more prominent than it was, I think, the last go around. And so, I'm using the garage.
Yeah.
And the angle is weird because usually it's me on the forefront. So it's a very like I can't tell. It's very small. So
Yeah, yeah.
I can see you very prominently.
hmm
So you're looking good. That's
You
why I was saying that.
and I see you pretty good, but you're just a little pixelated. Just a little.
Just a little.
Which is cool though. Looks
It's not
like it's a
great.
a setting, like
Aesthetic.
a what do you call it? Like on Instagram or something where you can do a filter. It's like a pixel,
Filter.
like a
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
pixelated filter.
Pixelated.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's
Well,
kind
well,
of
the
close to anime, but not quite. Yeah.
well, the good thing is since I'm in the garage, the what is that thing called? The router is actually right here, because that the office is right there. So
Yeah.
it's picking up. I know it's not the connection, at least I don't think it
Yeah.
is. So
Man, you mentioned your forehead being a little bit more prominent. I wanted to ask you, man, is forehead swelling kind of something with getting older?
I
Is
have
that
no idea.
but ironically, it makes sense though, because if somebody has a receding hairline, their forehead is gonna look larger, so makes
Yeah,
sense.
and my hairline's been receding for a
Yeah.
long time. When I was roommates with Leo and Wade, they kept messing with me, say, "Oh yeah, you're thinning up there. You're balding right there." I'm like, "I'm not thinning up there. I'm not balding right there." But over the past couple years, the girl I go to see to get my hair cut, because she gets the top down view. I'm like, "I wasn't here up there." It's like, well, yeah, if I were to grow it out, would it look like, would it not work? She's like, yeah, I don't think you should grow it out. It's like, okay, well, I'm so used to keeping it short now anyways, it don't matter.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
funny.
I appreciate that type of candidness. Like I called title company yesterday, and I was like, you know how it is with people. You always say, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. And then most of the time, most people are, what are they going to say?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're fine. We're
Yeah,
good, right?
fine. Yeah, yeah.
Say, I'm having a bad day. I'm like, I just died out laughing. And I had to quickly apologize. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you. I just appreciate the
Yeah.
candidness, the candor. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. She's like, well, I just didn't feel like not I didn't feel like,
Yeah.
it's not saying that. And so like for me, this week has not been a good week for me. I have just not had the go, the energy, any of it. Like yesterday was the first day where I felt it was like a little semi-normal. I don't know if it's the change in the weather or the anxiety because kids' school is starting next week or depression or
hmm
I don't know what it is.
Haven't been
So
able to pinpoint it exactly.
yeah, because I got no go. And maybe it's anxiety about this deal that I'm working on. I don't know. Uh, it's just I have not felt like myself.
Got you. Got you.
So I'm glad
Uh,
we're doing this.
yeah. Yeah, this is good. It's a part of recalibration. It's always good for us when we do it. So Otago County, is that okay? Prattville, they start next week. Is that what it is?
Monday. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Now
Yeah.
I don't know if that's for public schools or not. I just know we start Monday.
Oh, okay. Got you. Got you. Got you. Okay.
As a former current educator, Oh, you know probably know more than I do.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. I know Montgomery Public School started this past week, but well this week. But um yeah, man. Speaking of that, I can just say I'm so thankful that I'm not teaching right now. Now let me for those listening, let me clarify. Teaching really is a very respectable occupation. The kids need it. I love kids. I'm passionate about empowering the kids, but there is a level of anxiety for just about any teacher every year when the year starts because no matter how much experience you have, you don't know what you're going to get. And you know what your job is to impact the students, to teach the students, but you don't know, look, you just, I mean, don't get me wrong. In life, we don't know what every day will look like, but there's some jobs that are just not created equally. You got your frontline folks and folks that's going out putting their lives in danger every day. And then you got teachers, which, when I think of teaching, I think of just the mental and emotional burden. And you just think it's almost like you're having to put on a production every day, and if the smallest thing is off, the kids will eat you alive. So that's the smallest thing. With you miss something in your lessons, or some kids having a bad, an awful day, and they decide they're gonna take over the class and lead other kids and mutiny or whatever, and you're gonna have to deal with that the best way possible. And you're only human, so you deal with it, but it affects you and it impacts you. And I mean, as a teacher, most days I can remember leaving exhausted, just exhausted emotionally, and didn't have a whole lot to bring home to my own kids. And so that's why I say hats off to teachers, but I'm glad this year because maybe I'll be back in the saddle, but this year I'm glad to have a break.
So, if people wanted to connect with you, what would be the best site to go to?
Connecting with me, probably from a personal development standpoint, refresh, refocus, rebuild.com if they just want to connect with me and really, I guess, learn from some of the perspectives that I've had that God has allowed me to develop a framework for to help everybody. But if they want to connect with me in terms of educational initiatives, the mclife.com, TheEmcee life.com. And with the mclife.com, me and some of my partners, what we do is we put on um, educational and entertaining events for students, and that can go from a one-time event, say something we're hosting, or like a seminar or some kind of pep rally, to something that may span months over the year, maybe a motivational series where we actually curate speakers for whatever the vision of the principal and the school is. So you can connect on that level. And parents, if you're interested in some of the resources I provide, you would actually go to my nonprofit site, Put Student Motivation First, which is psmfnow.org. That's psmfnow.org.
And what I'll do is I'll put some helpful links in there, and ultimately, at the end of the day, what I've felt is, I was talking with a coworker about it. Sometimes we get so caught up in the busyness of life, uh,
Yeah.
in our own worlds and in our own worlds that we sometimes forget the bigger picture, like how much the bigger picture is.
Hmm.
And again, it's because of there's a divide. I only say this because of my experience in America. It seems like there's a growing divide between upper and lower class, and that the middle class is slowly being eroded away. That's what
Yeah.
it seems like. Now, whether
Hmm.
it actually is or not, I don't know, but it just seems like the middle class is just one step away from, you know, falling down.
Yeah, because most of the middle class is still living paycheck to paycheck for one. So
Hmm.
even on paper, it's pretty accurate.
Well, and but that's what keeps uh empires, uh dynasties or civilizations intact is the middle class because
Yeah.
they have the ability to move up while they also run the risk of falling down. And the more that gap, seems to widen, and the more the middle gets eroded away, you think about it, there's seems to be an extreme. You're either rich or you're poor.
Yeah.
You're this or you're that. And so you need balance. You need a middle.
Oh, you
And
do,
so
yeah.
you need to protect that middle. You have to foster it. And I don't know a way to preserve that other than through education.
That's all. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Because, we know social programs don't preserve anything like that.
No.
The only way to preserve it is through education. But the problem is, here's the problem that I see. And again, I mean, I was just a teacher, but a passionate one. You know, there are a lot of schools, be it a lot of them are independent of public education, but they have caught on to more forward-thinking, progressive ways of connecting with the students, and I mean it works. For
Yeah.
for all that we have said about students being lackadaisical and not being engaged, well, there are ways to connect with students to get them to say where we were, 30, 40 years ago in terms of I guess performance, but better performance than there is widespread today. But anyway, there are ways to do that, but public education in most states you could say all the United States, but some states now are definitely 10, 15, 20 years even ahead of other states, but it's still slow across the board. But there are ways to connect with students, and just as a I can't speak as a whole because I know we are all states run independently, but
Yeah.
most states have been really, really, really slow to the table for making those modifications for
Is it the
how we
cost?
no. Man, the average cost for, I mean, the average price or amount that these states pay for students' education would blow your mind, man. It's in the
Hmm.
upper thousands. You got, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember exactly, but in some states, I mean, it's in the tens of thousands. You're talking about
Hmm.
paying per student,
Hmm.
which is mind blowing
Hmm.
because these students aren't getting that kind of education. Then say go to a private school and where education may be their parents may be paying a couple $1,000s a month or $1,500 a month, whatever, for them for at least an environment and some experiences that are more conducive to their learning. And then you flip over to public school where the state's still paying in the upper thousands, tens of thousands, and the kids aren't nearly getting what they need. And I'm gonna tell you what it is too. It is environmental. A lot of the challenge is environmental, because with a lot of the public schools, the outside, where a lot of the negativity from the outside, the outside the community does seep into the schools. And the challenge with public schools that's different than private is you also have to mitigate the negative effects of that outside world as you're teaching. And that's where the challenge lies, because when you've got an environment that's impacted by a culture that says, this the education is not really the main thing. I just need to, be popular, have influence. I can do that, and it does not necessarily, and then I could be an athlete, I can make it, and it does not necessarily push up the importance of, as we said, knowledge and education to being able to move up socially and economically in this world. When you don't have that mentality from the outside and that seeps in, then doing the same things that a private school might do, you could teach the same curriculum as a private school, but you're not gonna have the same impact because you've got so much pushback. And the majority of students are there mentally. You got some student. No, I'm not gonna say the majority. You got, this is what the schools look like. You've got most students that want to learn, but you've only got a few that are able to actually function at a high level in that environment. Then you've got a big chunk, maybe like half, that want to learn, but they're teetering on that line because they're so influenced by that culture, that outside environment that comes in. And you only got a few kids that don't want to learn. So I think from the outside looking in, though, people probably would see the performance of these schools and think, well, these kids don't want to learn. No, it's just a few. But that few, when you're talking about a culture that's impacting the schools, that few, they drive that culture in the
Yeah,
school. And that's
because
what
it
we have
creates
to
a
get.
herd
Yeah,
mentality kind of.
exactly. Exactly.
But so is a solution, and I guess they've tried it, but it doesn't work. Just isolating those few that are the disruptors and just letting them all be in a class by themselves.
It
But
doesn't
then
work.
you have a class of misfits, and
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
because
And we
they
keep,
what happens is there's breaks, and then they have to go and then intermingle.
and the problem is, from a humanistic standpoint, we just can't do that, because at the end of
Yeah,
the day, they're kids too. Like, even though they're
yeah,
kids that are interrupted, and they're still 15, 16,
right. And
14,
also too,
13.
you don't know what's going on at home.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Which
and
exacerbates.
that's so hard.
Yeah.
That's so
That's the
hard.
difficulties, man. Because you think about most of private schools, don't get me wrong, you got kids that are dealing with stuff definitely everywhere. But the difference is, you're talking about money's not, we know that's not the solution to everything, but some of those kids with private schools at least have some help. Their parents um are paying for private school, but also typically, not all the time, but typically there's a level of support there too,
Yeah.
at home or whatever, whether
It's
it's issues or not.
usually indicative of a mindset or a purpose or if you're paying for it,
Yeah.
you want there's a want behind your children's
Right.
success and their well-being. Yeah.
So that's the difference. That's one of the differences, because again, we know they've got issues just as well as those in the public schools, but a lot of times in these public schools, they don't have the means, um and it's a lot of trauma. There's really a lot of deep-rooted trauma
Yeah.
everywhere. Don't get me wrong, but again, you're talking about deep-rooted trauma that that's really hard to identify too,
Yeah.
in these huge schools of 20, 25, 30 kids in every classroom,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 800. You got high schools, 2,000 kids, easily in a lot of places, man.
Which is interesting because in certain countries, there is I don't know if you knew this, but with certain countries, there's a risk of them not having enough offspring. So
Mm,
typically, if you have a male and a female to replace, think about it from a numbers standpoint, a male and a female to replace that country's population, you would want to have ideally two or more kids.
right.
Because if you
Mm,
think about it, right? And obviously, you every, different parents, you know, creating two or more. Because if you just do, just from the math, two different parents create one kid and they have one kid, the population over time is going to decrease.
yeah.
So you have to have two or more. So Japan's running that population issues. South Korea is having population issues. China probably one day will have population issues. They've got a fairly big population, but they had that one child policy back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So that may or may not impact them, you know, 2 or 3 generations from now. Uh,
Mm,
but
that.
you got to think about us, even though it doesn't seem like we have population issues, America would be experiencing that too. But also too, okay, well, we need to have more kids for the human species to continue to survive. But now you got to think about the aspect of education that we're talking about is how once we get them into the world, how do we ensure their survival? Because ultimately, humanity is all we know. We don't know of any other species like us. Lions
Mm-hmm.
aren't like us, dogs aren't like us. So that's why I think ultimately we've got to figure out a way to see beyond just our day-to-day lives, which is very hard because again, you want to be able think about the fragileness of life. I mean, I could, drop dead of a heart attack right now. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
could be driving down the road, get hit by somebody that's a drunk driver. Nuclear bomb could go off. But either way, 100 years from now, I should not, based on what I've seen in my lifetime, you're not going to be here anymore. You
Right.
see, so life itself is just fragile. So it's a balance of being able to enjoy life and at the same time understand that once it ends, there's a life beyond this life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's human beings are the only ones that really have the that I've seen. I haven't seen animals exhibit this type of behavior, the capacity to think beyond their life.
Yeah.
You notice that? I don't I don't think animals are looking to eat to survive to the next day, procreate, and then they die. You don't see them really trying to cling to life itself. That's why you
Yeah.
see this
Yeah.
this advancement in this life extension type technology. And I believe I had this thought before we started that in essence, you know, the internet itself, I think with the advent of AI is going to find a way for the internet to survive. Because
Mm-hmm.
without the internet, AI can't exist.
Right. Right. Right.
You think if you think about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's no network, well, how does
Mm-hmm.
AI survive other than moving outside of itself and creating a physical form? It needs the internet, so it's going to find a way. So even if a nuclear bomb were to go off, AI is probably already back testing, thinking of ways to kind of keep the internet alive, which makes what we do now in this moment, creating this record, even though people would probably think, oh, what's the point of creating videos or creating content or things like that? Well, it is important because the human race one day no longer exists. There's no record of our existence.
Hmm.
So that's why sometimes I think to myself, well, what's the purpose of this? Well, the purpose of this is for future generations to think and ponder
Right.
about what to make of this existence while we make it. And also too, assuming AI is real, which I'm pretty sure we can agree AI is real, artificial
Hmm.
intelligence is real,
Hmm.
the internet is real, obviously, because I am literally communicating with you over a computer network connection, not on my phone, through the internet, through a computer, then the internet is real. And if these things are real, and if it takes on the nature of humanity, meaning that it takes on our nature, meaning we want to live, we want to survive, then what's going to happen is AI is going to want to do the same. And so the
Mm.
records that we create, although they may have the ability to be deep faked or altered or uh, AI really is fascinating. The all the different terminologies we're coming up behind it. It is
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
interesting
'cause
that uh, we're going to it's interesting what's going to happen in the next 40 or 50 years because we have no idea. We have an idea that we create from our imagination of the Jetsons and Terminators and these types of things, but what is it going to be like our kids growing
yeah,
up in these
we
types of generated
we
things?
don't even
We
really
don't
know
know.
the potential like that
We
it
don't
has.
know the potential.
I
Right,
mean,
right.
it's funny you say that because nowadays I sometimes I'm looking at Instagram and I'm like, I show Ashley something. I'm like, look, babe. She's like, babe, that's AI. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like,
It is.
and like a lot of times I realize like I don't know. I've always been pretty. You could call it not gullible, but just open-minded. I've always been a dreamer. Like I believed in Santa Claus way longer than I should have, right? And my parents gave me hints, and I didn't get them because I wanted to believe. So that's me. So yeah, I be fascinated, and she's like, no, it's AI. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it is. But it's
Well,
crazy, man.
but that's why we always, that's why we need women.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
so that women are biologically different than men, and
yeah.
they're gifted with things that, and again, I don't know why people would take offense to this, but I'm just saying what's true. Physically, biologically, there are at a cellular level things that make a woman different than a man. So obviously they're going to be equipped with things that are different than a man. They're going to be
Right.
able to see things quicker, certain
That
things.
BS.
Yes.
They
Yes.
can see they got a serious BS sensor.
Yes. Yes. And it's interesting because like events and experiences shape men and women differently and how
Yeah.
the skills that they have are different. So what made me think of this is have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Victor Marx?
I think I have. Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds.
he's a Christian ministry type guy.
Hmm.
Has one of the fastest gun disarms. Like if you were to he's former martial artist, former Marine, but he did this conversation with Sean Ryan, and it's one of the first ones I've ever seen where I think it was one when Sean was trying to find his feel for how to do long form conversations. Because typically, if he's going to do one now and it's going to be like 4 hours long, he just throws it up there 4 hours long,
Mm.
and just says, "Hey, we're gonna take a break." Takes a break. You just the editors come in and they just put it all together. But this one, it could be one seamless conversation, but he broke it up into three chunks. So I listened to the first part, listened to the second, gonna move into the third, and it talks about his ministry work. He's now going around the world and I'm assuming he's going into areas to basically rescue children, I think. I don't know. I don't know what exactly he's doing. But he's had such a traumatic background. And if you look up videos of Victor Marx disarming people, that have handguns. He's got, I mean, like literally, it's like probably like 2, 3 seconds. He's disarmed somebody. You know, you're within range right here. He's got the gun like that. But he's very like
Wow.
his background, like who he is, and this just the stories of him. It was very moving because he is a Christian because he starts interweaving the spiritual pieces of it,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'll send it. Yeah, again, it's only if you want to, and I know that I'm invested in the person because I went back and I've listened to part two because I was listening to him while I was falling asleep. So I listened. I went back and I picked up right where I left off because there's some of the things in it that I just it resonated with me. But I'm saying that to say that you know these things that we're doing in our life, we don't understand it from a small perspective, but there are bigger things that are going on. Just as we know that evil exists, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's a hard thing for people to really understand that there really is evil in the world. You know, I don't know why people have a hard time understanding that, but
That's yeah. I don't I don't quite know. I think it's just for some reason like human nature to think it's weird, but like to think the best of everything or
yeah,
everybody. I think that's why so many of us
I think
have
it's
to go
inherently
through,
built in.
yeah, like that's why so many of us have to go through things to realize, oh, okay, everybody is not my friend. Everybody is
Yeah,
not for me.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's weird, but you know what? It's related to eternity too. It's kind of like how,
I think that's the way it was originally designed.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of like how people can feel like, can kind of ignore different signs and things and say, uh, we're all gonna be okay. We're gonna live forever, and it's like that's that narrative that when we die, we all go to some pie in the sky. And that's kind of
Yeah,
you watch shows and movies and things like that, and that's like the overarching theme of a lot of stuff. Like people are not really. It's funny because you were talking about earlier how we're different than the animals because we think about that, but at the same time, human beings have this knack or this inclination really to defer or to not think about it and to kind of not in naivety or whatever, just not I don't even know if that's a word, not think about what could be, what is to come. And that's I guess that's a flaw, just like thinking everybody is a good person is a
right.
flaw, and then being shocked when something happens. No, I
Yeah,
mean, because evil exists and we all are prone to it.
yeah, yeah. So, again, we don't know how life was supposed to be. I'm going to go under the assumption that life pre-fall with just Adam and Eve was paradise because that's what it says. It was paradise. So if life had advanced from that state, no fall, well, then there would be, in essence, no evil, really. Or
Yeah.
not evil in the sight of. So then you go back before Adam and Eve and talk about the third of the angels that fell. Well, that void, that time gap in between explains the existence of evil, this
Hmm.
rebellion against order, this chaos, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, with the existence of this chaos, well, then that, in essence, kind of explains the existence of evil because there's something that's always railing against wanting to destroy. And
That's
so,
mind blowing to me though. That which I have a finite mind, so we're not able to wrap our minds
no,
fully. But it's mind blowing to me that evil was always present because the Bible says that the devil was a liar from the beginning. So what's so interesting is in God's creation, the fact that I mean, it makes sense, because we're in this physical world and we have a conscious mind and we can see good and evil, but like in theory, going back, it's just like, where did that even come from in the
Right.
devil? Him being a
Right.
liar and,
Yeah.
evil arising. It's just like mind
It's
blowing, man.
the only thing that I could think of is that would have caused this is, but I mean, I don't understand why you would not be content where you are.
Yeah, exactly. It's
You know?
perfect. Yeah, it's
Perfect.
perfect.
Why would you want to seek to sit on that throne? I mean, I guess to know what it's like, but I don't that. But again, that's our finite
Yeah.
minds trying to comprehend evil.
Well, speaking of that, with the like you said, a third of the angels falling. I mean, the Bible says he deceived them. My impression is that in heaven, I would have thought, I could be wrong, but the angels knew everything. Well, okay, I know they don't maybe didn't know everything, but they were in God's presence. So there is a level of knowing and knowledge in God's presence that does not exist outside that person. So they were totally aware and again, basically in this perfect state. How do you get deceived? Like it's one thing for one person, one angel. It's a whole nother thing because when we talk, I think it's billions, maybe even more. We're talking about a lot of angels for one. You
Right.
know what I
You're
mean?
right.
So
You're
we
right.
talk about a
Right.
third of the angels. That's a lot of angels to get deceived. So
Right.
that's mind blowing, man.
Well, and then I think the answer is going back into what we were talking about, education. If now if we're made in God's image, which it says, then also too, even though he did not create the angels in his image, the things that we exhibit are maybe his way of telling us how the angels fell. Because think about it. If you get those one or two bad apples in the classroom
Mm-hmm.
and how it affects all of the classroom, is
Yeah.
that possibility that
Yeah.
then you start getting, they start kind of flocking together,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a virus type thing, they're not, or even like cancer cells, they're still cells, right? They're still
Yeah.
cells, but they're cancer cells. And maybe that's a way of his way of telling us, well, that's how it happened, you
Yeah.
know. And because he's good and he's perfect and he's loving, he's but also too, he also wields justice.
Yeah.
So
Bro, have you ever, I'm sure you have, but
I,
man,
I don't know, I don't think so.
okay, one of the things that again is mind blowing to me, is when you think about how when each of us were created, how like the heart, like the heart is, and this is the difference between real true intelligence and artificial intelligence. We
Okay.
have a heart, which I still don't get, that can decide between good and evil. That is mind blowing to me because,
You inherent based ethics. Yeah.
yeah, it's mind blowing because like God can create something. So every human being, and we have the capacity inside of us to choose right and wrong. Because it just, I mean, because I know we're not robots or anything like that, but
No, we're not. Yeah.
it just, it's mind blowing that decision, like real decision, can come out of something that's correct. Because it seems like when you create something and it already has a certain pattern. Like that's how we create things. Like with artificial
Right.
intelligence, we create it and it's only gonna do what the algorithm says it
Yes.
do, no matter how maybe the algorithm gets more complex and layered year after year so it can do more.
Right.
But to think that we're not created like that, but in and of ourselves, in our hearts, we choose basically our destination, our destiny in a sense. Like it's just mind blowing, because that
It
shows
is.
true intelligence
Yes.
versus artificial. Yeah,
Yes,
man.
because that's why I think artificial intelligence, it's always going to be a very, very archaic and crude copy of real life, real intelligence.
Right.
And you think about it too, from what I understand, intelligence is not as old as we think it is. I mean, even if you go back, I mean, what, 10,000 BC? I mean, known archaeological objects that were found pre-AD, and you think about how long humanity's actually been on the earth, intelligence itself is not really that old.
Right.
I mean, and again, you really have to think about it really hard. But like we exist in the year 2020, and the advancements we've made
Right.
within, especially from a technological standpoint, 1900s, we figure out how to fly. And here we are in 2020 using the internet. You could be talking
We
to somebody on a app that's in a completely different time zone, completely different location in our
Yup.
lifetime.
Yup. And
And
when you
remember how
look
much it used to cost too.
Yeah, and when you look at that, like you said, it's moving really fast. The
It's
growth of
amazingly
technology. Yeah,
fast.
yeah,
The intelligence, and if
yes,
you think about humanity's intelligence in comparison to artificial intelligence, it doesn't matter how quickly yes, it's dangerous because it's a human invention, so to speak, but it's, humanity will find a way to, I just don't, you know, humanity was created for a purpose.
mm-hmm, yep,
At the end of the day, humanity was created for a purpose. And I guess the thing that really still kind of blows my mind is the the fact that one day we're all going to die,
mm-hmm,
you know,
yeah,
and that, we're going to be somebody's memory.
hmm,
I mean, that's, what most people would probably think about if they were on their deathbed is, I wish I had more time.
right, right,
I wish I had more time. So, because they
but
don't know. They don't know about the other side. They haven't experienced the other side. You see what I'm
right,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
And the only record we have of somebody coming back from the other side is Jesus.
yeah, mm-hmm. This is the familiar. You can have faith, but you haven't seen it. It's interesting, man, because what was I gonna say? With it was something about
With great power comes great
uh,
responsibility.
no, that's not it, but yeah. Uh it was just something about time, man. How we it's interesting. We hold on, we want more time. It'll come back to me in a minute. But yeah,
Yeah.
it'll come back to me. But that's
It's just,
interesting,
and it
man.
just moves so fast though. The activities we do, like when we're younger, think about the activities we did when we were younger. It just seemed like we had so much time. And as our body ages, it just seems like we don't have enough time.
Man, that is a real thing. It really does feel
Like it's
like
freaking August already.
it doesn't feel like the days now. Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're full days. Like my life, honestly, is like a blur. I mean, since I got married, even okay. So I've been in Montgomery 18 years. I was here 7 years before I got married. Now 11 years since then.
Wow.
I thought my 7 years felt like a long time up until that point, but looking back, and it's been like this now for a while in my marriage, looking back, I'm like, this has moved so fast. I can't believe that
It's like
from a
Jill and I,
time perspective. Yeah.
Jill and I have been together now 12 years.
Right. Wow.
You know, we've known
Wow.
each other since,
2013 then.
yeah.
First part of 2013 it would have been. No, you met her in 2012, actually. 2012.
No, 2013. I know it's 2013
Okay.
because I'm pretty sure it was 2013. I
So
know it
that
was
was
June we started dating.
was it while we were roommates or after?
Just after, because Billy Bob and I had moved in together across the street.
Yeah, so we ended, so that would have been
So
like
we were roommates in 2012 then.
it was like August 2012. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
August 2011 through August 2012, or like the end of July or something like that, or August 2012. So you must have met her just before we moved out.
No, it was after. I know it was after.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. And that's the other bad part about, okay, so this is my timestamp. In 2010 is when I first started going to Churchill Highlands. So brand new, not brand new. There was a series because I came to Christ in 20, I'm pretty sure it was 2012. Pretty sure it was 2012. I knew I met Jill in 2013.
There you go.
Well, you see, the time goes by so fast, and then the memories
Yeah.
are, they get so jumbled. And then the memory of the memory confuses the original memory.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like a book that I had it's like the first book that I ever thought about writing. Like I feel like that's my book. Like that's my book, but I've written several books since. And it's funny because 7 or 8 years ago, the things I was gonna put in that book were so fresh. But now, like it's been a struggle because now I'm sitting down again to try to write it,
And it's
like I
not
did seven,
relevant
eight years
anymore.
ago. Well, it's harder now. Now I have to go back. I'm gonna go back and read through my journals and things like that because 7, 8 years ago those thoughts were still fresh, and I was writing about stuff that was probably happened 5 to 10 years before that point, but it was still fresh. But now 18 years removed, 16,
Yeah.
17, it's just not as
Plus, the
fresh.
world has changed too.
Yeah.
So that change in the world has shaped how you see things
Yeah,
too.
that's true. That's
So
true.
how you recall it's not going to be the same. That's how you can always pick up a book that you always read and catch something new when you read it because you've changed.
Right. Right.
So I don't know, man. This this is a pretty interesting life we've been living. Isn't it wild?
It is, man. It is. It's
3 kids for you, 2 kids for me. Married.
just existence in itself is mind blowing, man. If
It
you
is.
and if you don't stop and think about it, it's just like you go on and you assume a lot, but like stopping and reflecting on just existence is nothing far from amazing and just it can't be fathomed, man. Like,
No,
you
it
know,
can't. And there's so many other human beings out there right now doing something completely different.
hmm
Some of them are out there going and going about ready to go to work or already at work. Some are just trying to survive. And you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
There's just so much that we can't comprehend that's going on right now. And to think that we have a God that's present everywhere all at once, you
Hmm.
know? And then, you know, and then on top of that, you got to worry about the existence of evil and fighting that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just, there's just so much that we don't, I mean, we could just, that's why the movie The Matrix is such a profound movie that people really underestimate. Just the same as a supernatural movie, that these types of movies are really interesting to me because they really try to peel back the curtain of life. Try
yeah,
to make you think about it a little bit differently because The Matrix really was a profound movie of its time, making the
hmm
argument that we're actually living in a simulation.
yep.
Which a lot of people come to that argument. It's like, yeah, we are living in a simulation. So,
And I think the underlying thing that I loved about it was if you're not aware, then you're susceptible,
right.
to be to be manipulated
Yeah. I
by
mean,
the really the prince of the air, the evil
yeah,
one,
right.
who's
Yeah, the-
put blinders over
yeah.
everyone's eyes.
So, it's that argument of, the manipulation, propaganda, control on the earthly side of it, and then the spiritual side of it, like, yeah, the very real aspect of like like evil just trying to keep you separated
Hmm
from knowing that there is, and that's why there has to be good, because if evil were to win, evil would have won a long time ago. Humanity would not exist.
Right. True.
And it's not just, I don't think it's just humanity's survival instinct. This is the reason
No.
why we survive. I really believe that there is a God that so loves his creation, that so loves us, that he is going to save us. I
Yep.
mean, doesn't that make sense?
It makes complete sense, man. Even in light
Because
of
because of the
the
parent and child relationship.
yeah, yep, how he made it. And he made us in his image in so many ways, man. It's just reflective, yeah. Everything is reflective of God. Like if you think about the gift of laughter, even,
Yeah.
when you think about those things, wow, God gave us that. So when you think
Yes.
about all those things, that's a reflection of it. And
That
us who
that that
yeah,
that is really the proof of the existence of God.
yeah,
That may be one of the key key pillars to prove God's existence is
yeah,
laughter.
yeah.
You think about it, then you're right. Because you don't see animals. I mean, they do, but not to the extent that we do.
Not like that. No.
Not like us.
Mm-mm.
That's and yeah, yeah,
And it's like you said in a previous episode, you were talking about how, laughter, it can be, the saddest moment, but somebody can tell a joke and I mean, you just ball out laughing.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
I mean, and
And
it
it's so universal
yeah.
too. You think about it too. What makes laughter really unique, laughter and imagination is a proof of God's existence.
hmm
Because those are things that are not, like, you can't explain it.
Right. Exactly.
You really can't explain like how all this exists. It came from imagination. We know it's the Holy Spirit,
hmm
the Lord imparting the celestial wisdom into humanity. But laughter is really something because you can laugh at the most inappropriate times over the most inappropriate things, and it just
Hmm.
does something to you.
Yeah.
It does. It's a mood shifter.
Yep.
I mean, even from an evolution standpoint, laughter is that doesn't make any sense to me. Think
Uh,
about from an evolutionary standpoint, why would I mean, I guess from the flight or fight the body being so amped up all the time, laughter would be a good way to kind of bring those chemicals down, kind of regulate it down so the body can last longer. I mean,
yeah.
but
But you're
laughter
right.
is
But yeah,
there's
no, even
something unique about laughter.
yeah. So, and like you said, from the evolution standpoint, the thing is, there's too much consistency for the only thing that really truly evolves to me, and what I have seen and can see is the knowledge and our application of it, and that's what we call technology. I
Yeah,
mean, that's what's evolved, but the human persona, who we are, I just don't the laughter and like the types of jokes and stuff change because like you said, the world changes, but
right.
the at its core, the laughter's the same,
Yeah,
empathy, sympathy. And don't get me wrong, like you know how the Bible says even like love waxes cold, talking about, but that's the more of the condition of human beings. I believe just because of deception and things like that, and that happens, but it's just too much consistency. Because here's the thing, with how technology has grown, if we had evolved from something, we would be a lot different now than even what we can see, I think, in the 1700s and 1800s, and there's no difference. Just
laughter is
difference in
universal. Yeah, yeah, that existed back then too.
everything, man. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, because I think within this world, I actually think the opposite would have happened. Then, like you said, it could have been laughter kept evolving to help us cope. But I think people would have just gotten colder and colder and colder with
Yeah,
all the things that happened, like hardened,
yeah, we're more robotic.
more robotic.
Yeah,
But laugh,
I mean,
yeah,
you notice like man, we're not. That's what makes humanity so unique, is that we move from this creative liberal mind that's very free flowing and thinking, and it moves and oscillates, and it's very left, very very open, very in the emotions. And then there's this other very conservative, very rigid, very binary, very black and white type of thing. And the answer is you need both.
hmm,
Just like you need a male and a female, you need both. You don't want completely one way. You don't want completely the other. You need the balance. The balance is what creates the new thing. That's what keeps humanity going, moving forward. And it's a reflection of free will,
yeah,
ultimately.
yeah,
It goes back to life and death. That's the true thing. You have choice between life. Is it life and death, or life or death?
and death,
And
yeah,
death. So if you notice, that's a very interesting way of putting it. It's not one or the other. It's both.
hmm,
Understanding that it's not going to just happen once. Throughout your life, you're going to be journeying through, and you're going to have to keep making this decision over and over
yeah,
and over and over again. And that's the truth about life. You're going to have to keep you're going to keep moving back and forth over and over again. And that's where the beauty is, in the balance of
yeah.
understanding. Instead of fighting against it, you just have to accept it.
Yeah, because what should happen ultimately is, we don't always perfectly choose life with every decision, but what should happen is, as our relationship grows with the Lord and as we matriculate through life, there should come maturity where we're more consistently choosing life, and then, we find that posture of consider, because after a while the Bible says with all you're getting get understanding. As you gain understanding, that helps you not to choose death anymore.
Right.
Right? That helps you
Right.
say, wait, no, I understand what this leads to. I'm choosing life. So
Right.
eventually, that's the direction, you
Right.
know. Yeah.
And that's, you know, it's just interesting that long form conversations, it pulls us into places where if you talk with somebody long enough, you understand their thoughts and their ideas and where they stand on things. And you don't always have to agree with them, but you have to understand that the journey is in the conversation.
Hmm.
And ultimately, like I'm saying, we're all going to not be here one day. So this record is for somebody to take something out of, you know,
Right.
whether it's the direction of thinking about something, what is going on beyond your life, or exploring deeper into the current times of life, or maybe reflecting back on what this is what humanity was like back in 2020. You know, that that's the importance of what we do, even if we don't understand the why of what we do.
Right.
It
That's a
all
pound.
has, yeah, that's a
That's a
pound because
pound. That's a pound.
we don't understand. We don't, and that's why I get frustrated with the idea of, you know, people's. I know that universal basic income is not the answer. It's not the only answer, but you know, I we only have 80 years at best, you know,
Hmm.
and how I just want you just know that humanity is meant to keep existing. So how do
Now,
how do you preserve that?
you you just helped me come back to my original thing that I was trying to think of.
About time?
Yeah, so what's interesting, man, is oh, it's trying to leave me again. I was trying to leave me again. Um, what's interesting is I don't know why it's like I'm trying to lasso it in. It comes, and if I don't, it just okay. That's all right.
What is it in regards to? Now, the thing that I said was about 80 years, at best 80 years.
Yeah, that did trigger it. I think
And then the fact that, it just you know, we get
I
up,
think
we go to a job, make money, and then time goes by. It just sometimes it's like it seems like there's uh, almost worthless, even though we know it's not.
you know what? I think it was more so time in light of eternity. It's like it's interesting how like even the Bible, one of the gifts of life, the Bible talks about how, honoring our parents, our days will be long, and all throughout the Bible, God blesses individuals with giving them long life. And so I just think about the dynamic or the dichotomy of this life and desiring a long life that clearly is held in high esteem, even by what God does and how he blesses people. At the same time, we know eternity, having eternity with God is the thing to most greatly, covet and desire.
Right.
Um, so that dichotomy is interesting to me. It's like clearly being with God is the ultimate thing, but yet there's something so cherished about this little time. And I guess it's because in light of eternity, this is so small, you don't get this back. Eternity,
No.
be with eternity in eternity forever, but this is just a twinkle,
It's
a
just a
glimpse.
twinkle.
And it's almost like time is what makes it valuable
Hmm.
because you only have so much of it. So
Because
what can you
it's measurable.
and yes, and it's actually shaping your eternity.
Yeah.
Not just from a heaven and a hell perspective, but even from a reward in heaven perspective.
Yeah.
What you do here is
Yeah.
shaping what you'll be
Yeah. Because
doing forever.
yeah, he did say that not only is it important for your name to be in the book of life, but there's a second book in which the gifts are going to be bestowed
Mhm.
upon you because of the things that you've done on the earth.
Yeah.
Something like that. I know I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, well, here's the other side of it too. Our awareness is only of our five senses. You see, the math, all the things that we're doing, we're trying to comprehend extra dimensions, these types of things. We even magic, those things are trying to understand what, yeah, that's what it is. It's definitely trying to understand a life beyond this life because we can't just go like that and be in the presence of God, you
Right.
know?
Right. Right.
And humanity, and if humanity just 120,000% knew that we could just flip and be in the presence of God. But see, if you're in the presence of God, you don't want to come back.
Right.
You
Right.
see? Because you don't want to come back, you don't come back. But because you don't come back and we can't see that, we don't know. Because we don't know, that causes confusion. So, again, it all goes back to the original sin. If we had not sinned, we would not have to know what we know. We wouldn't have this life as it is right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the struggle is understanding that don't be deceived. Evil is real. Good exists. Encounter to evil. Encounter against evil because that's the way it should be. Because if evil was meant to win, it would have already won
Right.
thousands of years ago. Evil's not meant to win. And again, it's not like we have an external force we're fighting against. You know,
Mhm.
we've beaten that. We beat animals. We have no threat. The threat is ourself.
Exactly. That's the truth, man.
The threat is ourself. So why do we have to create this unnecessary threat against ourselves? Well, the only reason I can think of that is because evil is real,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah. All right. And I'll say this because I think I'm being summoned, but you said counter. So take this back to uh take it way back on the tangent. MC
Oh,
Life. Yes, the MC Life counterculture, man. That's what we do. The counterculture for negative culture that seeped into schools, man. But anyway, I wanted to
that's
say that
it.
earlier, and we had taken a segue. But yeah, man, that's what we do.
And that's a good way to close it right there.
Yeah, man. It's a good session, man. As always, bro. As always. Man, football season coming around here soon, man. I know you ain't really haven't been into it
What are you
last
talking
few
about?
years.
I haven't been into football, I haven't been into basketball.
Yeah,
I'm glad the Lord works on me like he finds a way to speak to me through other podcasts and things like that. When I'm not watching church messages, he finds a way to always speak to me.
yeah,
So, yeah. So I watch it when I can, I guess.
yeah. Gotcha, man. Cool deal. Well, y'all have an excellent rest of this Saturday, man. And we'll talk soon.
Love you.
All right, bro. Love you, man. Peace.
Peace.